today in the context of the community forks. Um, I started to play around with it. Hopefully, I won't leak any tokens. I guess we'll find out in a minute. I've got the project open here. Yep, that's it. So I decided to. I will have to speak to someone about good best practices and standards, I guess, for Terraform, how to kind of split modules and folders and files, etc. But I went with a file to kind of define the connection to the GitLab state on the back end and the provider, the token variable, and then some. I'm going to call these constants, like locals. I then used a separate file to store. So Marco's probably more familiar with this, but for your benefit, Raymond, we're trying to kind of recreate the same structure. There's maybe some exception of like these ones that were created prior to us deciding to do that, but then you've got things like the charts is in the right folder, Ruby, gems, triage. So whether we decide, I don't think we will move these ones now, if I'm totally honest. I think we'll break a load of things.
They are all generally in the right place, aren't they?
That what? Sorry.
They're all generally in the right place. The only one that's out of place there is www.com.
Yeah, I suppose if they're in the root of GitLab org and we consider this to kind of match the root of GitLab org, yeah, that's probably good. So the first thing that I tested, I wanted to essentially us to be able to create the structure, if that makes sense. So the first thing I thought we needed to define is our kind of root group ID. Which will already exist. I think using the Terraform GitLab provider on SaaS, you can't create root groups, which kind of makes sense, right? Because it would be a bit dangerous, a bit spammy.
But you can import it. You can certainly import it and have it under management so that you can configure it.
Yeah, whether we even, maybe we will want that at a later stage, but all I was interested in being able to do was create subgroups to create the relevant structure, e.g. The charts group, the Ruby gem subgroups, etc. So this is kind of just a real high level. So what I should also load is the meta project, because fortunately the fact that we've documented it reasonably well was what I was using to kind of build it, if that makes sense. So I went into, have I skipped over it or have I not?
Yeah, a little bit.
How to team member process for creating a new fork. So when creating a new subgroup, change the following permissions. So we uncheck users can request access and set the group wiki to disabled. So users can request access is false. Right, so it looks like I couldn't find this setting, so I might have to make a change, like an upstream contribution to the GitLab Terraform provider to be able to do that. So there's one little gap there. Set roles allowed to create projects to maintainers. So yeah, easy, no problem. Then when it comes to forking the project, so then I was kind of thinking maybe we just have a separate folder, but maybe we just prefix each file with fork. We'll figure that out. But yeah, I was thinking each project maybe have its own Terraform file. So this would be for our fork of the main GitLab project. So again, I was just kind of going through and defining based on this kind of list of switch this off, switch this off, switch this off, etc. And then kind of listed all the things that I couldn't do. The good news is 1, 2, 3, 4. These 5. I have a merge request which has now been merged, but the Terraform provider is released the same cycle as GitLab itself. So this won't officially be released until the 22nd of March, but it's not that far away now. But this adds environments, feature flags, infrastructure, and monitor to the GitLab project resource, so we'll be able to configure those in the same way. But yeah, otherwise it seemed okay, to be honest. Like referencing the group that we created here, or if we were in the top level group, we can reference it from there. Our naming convention, the path, description, which is always standard. So I guess things like this we could pull out. So we want it to be the same for all. I don't know, something like locals, project description. But yeah, ran it and it did the job. Oh yeah, so then okay, so that's a slight challenge. I don't know how comfortable we feel with that. Our process was generally to create a new. So to configure pool mirroring, we would create a new project access token for each project. Now, that's not going to work. To try and explain it, so because Terraform is issuing the API commands to GitLab, the user that's configuring the pool mirroring is going to be whatever user your GitLab Terraform script is running as. So I don't think it would be trivial to tell, to use different credentials just for this bit. But maybe it would. But yeah, for the time being, I've defined a group access token, and I've used that as the kind of access token that Terraform is using to manage the group and the projects, etc. But it's also going to be that access token that's used to set up the pool mirroring, and therefore that's the user that. So if I go into coders, access tokens, we've got Terraform user, and if we I'm trying to think what the easiest way would be, going to GitLab org. I suspect that all of the activity is from that same group access token. Yeah. So I guess initial thoughts, comments, ideas, concerns?
I think that I'm pretty sure this can be done with Terraform. I mean, like the common settings to all the projects, so the disabled features and all that kind of stuff. We could be able to create one place and then reference it from all the projects that we want to create.
So that might be. Raymond was trying to explain to me what a module was. It a module that you're talking about? So we could actually publish where all these settings are kind of defined somewhere centrally.
Yeah, exactly. So how you would do that is you'd create a module called a community project group, as an example.
Yeah.
And that module defines a single GitLab group or a single GitLab project.
Mhm.
And that has all of the settings set
All of the
the way
ones that
the
are
way we want.
static, or
The static ones, or
maybe
exactly.
even some of the other ones it could do,
The other
like,
ones that can have set with the default.
or maybe
or
could it do some magic where it sort of suffixes, prefixes? Awesome,
exactly that.
love
So
it.
it can do exactly that. So we can set up just that, and we can have a suffix added or something. At that point, then all we need to then do is for each
Pass
project
in a
we just
few
call one
basic.
module, pass in
Yeah,
the things that are different,
yeah,
and everything else will just be in the background.
awesome, awesome.
So, and in fact, what you can also do as part of that module, for instance, in this case, you've got one resource, you've got one project, GitLab project there. Scroll
Yep.
down. Scroll down. You had another resource further down. Okay, so you would have then a project and a branch protection for each project.
Yes,
So you can define that as one module,
nice.
and then so you just create a GitLab community instance of a module, and that each GitLab community project comes with a GitLab project behind it and a GitLab branch protection and
Nice.
any other resources that we need as part of that. And you just declare that once. And in fact, you can also then do other things like declare some data and or outputs so that you can then go and pick those up and use them in other places if you so wanted.
Yeah.
But let's get the
Yeah.
basics right.
Awesome.
If you
What's the?
so
Should
so
we?
okay, so currently currently you've got an instance of this running, and you've modeled a project with that. So if you
Yep.
just do from your command line, if you do
Yep.
a Terraform state ls.
I'm going to change the layout so we can see better.
Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful.
Is it like that or like that or?
Terraform no state ls just with no hyphen. Oh, sorry, it's a list, not ls. Okay, so you need to do a Terraform init and specify your. So you might want to do this
Yeah, off camera.
off camera, where you can pull in your. So just export your token into the variable.
Where are you? Unshare.
Oh, I just hidden your screen share. So
And
I
that
don't.
variable just if you export to an environment variable called GitLab underscore token, all capitals, it should automatically pick up.
Yeah, I think it had to be TF underscore GitLab
It could be TF underscore GitLab underscore token
or
possibly.
TFR underscore, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't know if I even saved the token, to be honest. Which is kind of handy in a way because I can create one now and destroy it after. So I'll just do that quickly. In fact, I'll make it expire tomorrow or something like that. March the 15th, Terraform community pairing. So it needs to be hardcore permissions.
So and then you get your Terraform init command out of your Terraform state in the project.
Yep. So what was it called? GitLab underscore token equal. So Terraform project. I should be able to start sharing again.
So actually, you just need to export it as GitLab_access token. So if you,
Maybe
if
it
you
handles both. Maybe it handles both. So Terraform, so on infrastructure, Terraform.
Let me know when you want to start sharing again.
Init command. Of course. Sorry, this isn't for Terraform to be able to access GitLab. This is for, or not for Terraform. Oh God, this is Inception at its finest, isn't it?
This is to tell your local Terraform project how to access the backend that you've associated with the project that you've created.
Yes, as opposed to
how to tell you're not telling Terraform
how to access GitLab. Exactly. Yeah, that's hilarious.
You're telling Terraform how to access its own state. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Terraform.
It can also be useful when you're just sort of starting out with Terraform. While you find that when you're just starting out with Terraform.
Cool. We can share again.
Cool. But it can be useful to not do the pushing your state up. So just as in sort of your first steps of playing with something, keep your state local, do some stuff. Once you've kind of got your basics working, then you can migrate your state from local to the HTTP backend. Which is also available in the doc page. In Terraform totally permits you to do a state migration. So it's as part of your just MVC first iteration, having a local state makes sense while you're just kind of making sure things work, because there's a cost associated with every time you clone, or every time you do a state operation, because now it's got to make API calls. So when you're just getting started, doing that without all those API calls might be quicker and easier.
Cool. Do you reckon we should have a stab at the module thing, or if you got something else that
let's do it live? That sounds cool.
Google
the whole idea
better, or absolutely.
I'll be right back.
Don't even need to do that. I can actually walk you through this. So let's go back here. Okay, so now
So should we call it like fork template or fork module or something like that, or?
Hold on a sec. We were busy doing that. We were busy just on that iteration. So you did Terraform state list, and you've got those are the 3 objects currently in your state.
Yep.
Okay, so of those, which is the project? So that project you've got
will be this one.
Does that live under that group?
That lives inside the GitLab group, GitLab org. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just create a new folder in your Terraform.
Yep.
Let's call that. Give me a sec. I'm just opening something. I'm opening up a local reference.
That's what I thought. If you've got a Blue Peter one to hand, then it'll make it a lot easier to.
I've got something to hand. Absolutely. Let's just save it there. Sorry, just a sec.
Is Marco gone at the moment? It's annoying. I can't see the video feed at the same time. But I think he'd be amused at the fact that there's dogs walking around and there's beer pumps in the kitchen.
Come on, VS Code. Let's play nicely. Recent.
This is why I thought maybe.
So all right. So let's just create a folder called modules. And then under that, create. Let's name our module a community fork.
Like that.
No, so that's a fault. Sorry, another folder called community fork under
Oh.
modules.
Oh.
Perfect. Okay, and then under that, create a
Maybe project.tf or
or just we can call that anything really. Yeah, fork, because that's going to be a couple of things, isn't it? It's going to be
so what's the benefit of having this subfolder? I guess I'm thinking if we're going to put all of our
if you've got more than one module, you can then have separate modules under there.
But then wouldn't each file be a module or not?
No,
I'm thinking of going more like
each folder. Yeah, we can call that. So if we, so that's fine. Call it community fork is
okay.
Is fine. Let's get it working. Then we can always refactor and tweak the naming.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You want to add two more files into that folder, and that's a variables file, variables.tf, and a versions.tf. Okay, now versions.tf is if you open up your backend file, and you take that whole Terraform block out of that, and pop that into versions.tf, and you can take out the backend HTTP section.
Oh, because you tell the module what it's need.
You're telling the module.
I had that problem when I tried setting up the Oracle thing from that blog that you provided, actually, Raymond.
Yeah, exactly.
It got annoyed with because this was defined in the main back end, but it wasn't defined in the modules, and that caused a problem.
Exactly. And then just before the last brace there, so after the GitLab section, you want to have a new section. Next line. So just create a new line after that, and say required_version. This actually defines your Terraform version is greater than or equal to 0.14 should be fine. No, equals. So.
And then in here, something like that.
In there is exactly that's it. So that just specifies that this is a Terraform version. Okay. You've got a code completion plugin running on your.
I have indeed.
Is that the GitLab one?
It is indeed.
Nice.
See if it offers us any helpful suggestions at any point.
Cool. Okay, so you can save and close that versions.tf. That's perfect now. All right, so now if you open up your community fork one, and you pull the two.
I'm thinking just copy all this in there.
Exactly, copy all of this into there.
Yep.
Okay. And that's pretty much it. You've done what you want to do. Okay, so obviously things like name, you wanted to set that up as like a prefix rather than being something else. So how you would do that is you would declare a variable.
Yeah.
In your variables.tf, you declare a variable that this is something you're going to pass in.
Copy this.
Yeah, and
so we'll do like project name.
And you've got 3 fields that you can actually pop into your variable there. So you've got a type already. You can have a description, which is a string describing what the purpose of the thing is. And you can have a default if you want to provide a default.
That's a nice description, by the way.
That's a great description. Okay, so you've got these things. Okay.
So let's so we can now refer to that. So I have no idea in terms of like string concatenate. Like I've not really explored using Terraform as like a programming language, you know.
Yeah.
So if I wanted
So,
to do like
so so actually what you do is just inside your string. So you've
yep,
got inside the
something like
after the
that.
quote there, exactly dollar brace, and then var dot your variable name.
Oh, it actually. Oh, it came up with something that was wrong. Didn't
That's the code completion magic stuff.
put it project name.
That's it. That's it. That will go, and so whatever you now provide to your module as project name will be appended to, will have GitLab
So at
community
this
form.
point, I could try and so how do I actually use so we can scrap all of this because it's in our
So
module.
yes, just um, comment that up for now.
I'm
Okay.
brave.
All right. Cool. Um, okay. So now you want to define a new module. Uh, give your module a name. So that would be. Uh, so this is going to be each instance of your module needs a unique name. So this is going to be this module is going to be called GitLab.
GitLab fork.
Yeah, GitLab fork. Okay,
Is that the
and that's in quotes. That's the identifier
right?
for your
Okay.
module. So previously you had resource type name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you've just got module and name.
Okay.
Okay, open brace, and then you want to specify source equals dots open quotes dot slash modules slash community fork. There we go. That's it. Now you've created a module. Now that should do
So
that should do it. Did you set a default for your
let's set the default to be GitLab, and that should then
so you don't even need to specify any variables then because you've got a
yeah
default
yeah
specified.
yeah.
So right, what's going to happen now if we do a plan? Okay, a plan will say, hold on a second, I'm going to go and you have to do an init because you create a new module. You have to do an init so it can make a copy of the module. You don't have to worry about doing an init with all the other stuff. Now you can do a plan, and it's going to say I have to go and remove a whole bunch of other things first because we removed them out of there. So effectively, we're going to have to move your state around because things have moved paths within the
Okay.
state.
Okay.
Um,
Also looks like any locals and variables and bits and pieces that I'm referencing inside here. I probably need to sort of move
yes,
like passing. You know what I mean?
exactly that. So if you're referencing locals in in the project, you then have to move those references into the fork or into the module.
Yeah.
If
So
you just
all
copy,
of these, I think,
just for now, just copy that straight into your module. Uh,
just into here. Do you
pop
think?
it in the variables file for now, so that we know where it is because it's a variable of some. It's a local variable.
Yeah. So this group. I feel like I kind of do want to pass this in.
Okay, and then
Oh no! Wait a minute.
your
Git level.
your resource name inside your fork, inside the community fork, inside your module.
Yes,
So
this bit.
yeah, so that's going to be something a bit more generic because that's going to change every time we do something. So that's going to be okay, and that leads me to the error that you're getting. So just call this project. Okay, because it'll get namespaced inside your state by. I'll show you how the names are assembled at some point.
Yeah.
But we're currently relying on the namespace ID of your scroller. Okay, so on line 2 there, we're relying on that that namespace ID, but the module doesn't know about that because remember that was in your
Yeah,
maker. So let's pull it in
Let's-
from a
the
variable.
variables. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's create a variable
So
for
this is,
namespace ID.
yeah.
We can actually make that a type number, and then it's a numeric value. And I wouldn't specify default there, in fact, because
Well, what I'd like to do, although you said because things are moving around, it's probably the state's going to explode anyway. But I was hoping we might be able to get it to a point where plan actually understands that what we've got is the same as what we've got. But maybe that's hugely optimistic.
no, because the state doesn't match. The state doesn't match the other thing. So it would, right now, it's going to blow it away. So what we would have to do is do a state move operation,
Okay.
which allows us to tell Terraform, okay, you've got state named ABC,
Yeah.
and you want to actually move that item into
We'll give it a
CDE.
try. We'll give it a try. I'm just trying to think of a easy way to.
So how things get named currently is this file is your raw file. So that item in state is named GitLab group.gitlab.org. So remember, when we did a Terraform state list, you had a
Yes.
So if you just do that Terraform state list again, it shouldn't blow up because it's just. So you see, you've got each of those are your state items, and each of those corresponds to one of your resources.
Yeah, I'm just going to cheat very quickly and get the GitLab.org. I'm just going to pop this as my default value. Exactly.
That's fine. Yeah. Perfect. Okay.
Should we plan again and see what?
Yeah, in a sec. I just wanted to talk about how these things get named again. So the root level groups.tf is naming its item GitLab group.gitlab.org, which is resource type .resource name.
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Your modules will name module name .resource type .resource name.
Gotcha.
So that's why we named it inside your module. We named it something generic like project because
But then I'm guessing some kind of identifier
is actually in the module. Well, the identifier is actually happening in the module name. And that's why we went module name GitLab.
But if you reuse that same, that's what I guess I'm jumping the gun a bit there. But we're going to reuse that same module. So
we reuse that, but in the definition where we call that module, that's where the identifier lives, not in these sub things. So your identifier just moves from the end of the chain to the beginning of the chain.
Oh, okay, perfect. So it'll actually be this bit.
So it'll be so you'll have a GitLab _fork dot GitLab project dot project.
Awesome.
Okay, so if you do a plan now, okay, and it doesn't like the locals.
So, do you think you can't have locals in?
Should be able to.
A module.
Should be able to. Absolutely.
Locals.project description. Oh, I introduced this one, didn't I? This was a new one because I've got an S on the end.
Okay, so it's only moaning about in the branch protection. So you've just
So just project. Okay, so this is this is a bit more challenging, isn't
it? So that will be
just that, won't it? Because that's what that's called.
It might be GitLab _project .project.id.
Awesome. That looks promising.
Okay, so now, but if you look at what it's going to do, it's add to and destroy to. So it's destroying the old ones from where they live currently in the state because they don't currently live there in the state, and then it's going to add 2 new ones. So in this
we want to
case,
move.
Could do that because it would destroy the old one and then recreate the new one. However, what we can do in Terraform is we can do a state move, which allows
Love it.
us to
Yeah.
actually move the state from A to B. So if you scroll up, state MV.
Yeah. It's good because it seems to give us
So
like
this is
the path. I presume is
exactly. So you want to move from the source path to destination path. So that's going to be your destination path.
So what I'm going to do, so I just want to run this. So it's saying source to destination. So
And you
I'll
can do a
just
dry run.
state list again.
And it can do a dash dry run.
Let's MV
Dash dry run. So the state the state operations themselves are not destructive. Okay, they don't operate on the infrastructure, so they're not going to touch.
Yes.
They're not going to touch
Just the
GitLab.
back end in
It's
GitLab.
going to move stuff around in your state though, so you can kind of lose pieces of your state if you're not sure where to move things around to, but they're all in the right place. If we move it to the wrong place, we can then move it to the right place, but it does mean that the project. Okay, so it's just saying it would move
I'm
that.
happy with that. That's to be honest, that's not really the most helpful dry run in the world, is it? Because it's pretty much telling you what you just
okay, so it's successfully moved. So now if you do a plan, you should have only one destroy, one create.
Nice.
And, okay, there's one change here because we've changed some of the attributes somewhere. So if you go and look what happens on that.
Well, let's what I'd quite like to do first is do the other move.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the branch protection that it wants to move. So I'll just do my Terraform list. Terraform state list. And then we want Terraform state MV. So the source will be this.
Yes.
Destination is going to take me a second to either guess or to go back up to here.
It was in your plan lower down, but that one will do too.
This bit, yeah, cool. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, of course it was. That's not looking bad at all, is it?
That's it. Bearing in mind now you've actually changed the state of your upstream. So if your project itself had a regular pipeline running that was making sure that everything was aligned, you could have problems now because you've actually modified.
So is that a good practice that you're aware of?
It's something that you can do. Some people choose to do it that way. That way, it stops people from making changes outside of Terraform. But yeah, it's entirely there's different practices here.
So I'm curious where it's saying GitLab project, the visibility. I'm not sure if this is something that I'd already made a change somewhere.
Possibly changed it. So you've set that visibility
I think
private,
I did.
and now so if you go to your community fork TF file.
I was actually going to look at the genuine community fork. Yeah, it's private.
Okay,
it's
and
private.
if you go to if you go to your TF file, you're setting it as public, and that's why you're seeing a change there. So you made a change on the infrastructure that wasn't reflected inside the Terraform.
Yeah, I think I made this change obviously before we started pairing.
Yeah.
So awesome. This was what I was talking about earlier, by the way. So it's Terraform that needs EO in the how random. Okay, awesome.
And that's it. So now you've created a module, and you've moved your state into that module. What you could do now, if you wanted to take that one step further,
I'd love to baby step first by pushing this state into GitLab if I can.
Do it. Well, the state is in GitLab, but the code isn't. So yeah, you probably want to just.
I'm not using a local state here. I'm
using the state as is in GitLab. So.
Okay, perfect. So all I want to do is just see. So I modify back.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to add your. By the way, you should add the lock.htcl file.
Oh, really?
Yes. Not the .terraform directory, but the lock file.
Yeah. does the lock? I'm just gonna.
If you open it up, it's
Just
there.
gonna. I was hoping the.
So the lock file specifies the versions of the provider, and it's when you do an upgrade of your provider that gets updated. But that's a
I think because it's maintained automatically, and generally any file beginning with a dot is something that
it is,
should
but
be excluded.
it is there is a reference somewhere on the Terraform site that says specifically that that they recommend that you check that file in,
Gotcha.
because that way I think it makes the state updates and the provider upgrades a conscious decision rather than a something that automatically happens and then you potentially break something down the line.
Yeah.
And like so here we only made two variables. We made the ID as a variable and we made the description as a variable. But likewise,
We got a long way to go.
yeah,
What I'd like
you
to
could
do
add
is
several variables. In fact, you can add a variable for every single one of those things with the default, so that by default, request access is going to be false, issues enabled is going to be false. But should you want to flick that switch when you call the module, then it does that.
nice. So what I'd quite like to do is probably push this just because we've
Yeah.
done quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then we'll either chat about something else, or we'll start going through and saying, "Oh, this needs to be dynamic, and this needs to be dynamic, and anything else that maybe."
Absolutely. Yeah.
But to be honest, there's not much that needs to be dynamic.
Well,
There's
your
a
import
hell of a lot
import
of.
URL definitely, the forked from ID definitely.
So I'm just gonna create a branch. So create community module. So we want the modules, we want the lock, we want the git ignore. Yeah, we want all of that. What? My email address is obviously wrong. Never mind. That's weird. I can normally just click on that and it'll. Excellent.
And now, if you see your once your MR runs, once your pipeline runs, your plan should be the same as the plan that you're seeing on the CLI. Because we changed that stored state, the pipeline's going to see the same. It's going to be working in the same state.
Fingers crossed. I've got verbose switched on at the moment, but yeah, it looks exactly the same.
Yep. So once
love it.
So then, if you go ahead and approve that, or if Marco approves that, or if I approve that,
just gonna go and comment this out. Take it Mark hasn't appeared yet, Raymond.
No, he just pinged. He's on his way.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll probably just leave this one up for the moment. I probably won't even bother hitting merge.
Okay, I've approved it if you did want to merge it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because this is like we got to work out what to do with this group, to be honest, because someone's recently started using it and adding some issues and doing some stuff in there. So need to figure out if we actually want to blow it away or what we want to do. But awesome. No, that looks
So
great.
if you,
How's your
yeah,
time, Marco? Are you all right for a little bit longer, or?
I could keep on going, and
I don't think we've probably got that much, like just some finishing last, like I think work out next steps. I already have some ideas. Raymond's,
yeah, if
I
you
think, got a few to suggest
if
now.
you wanted to take this one step further, you could actually go and turn that module into an item within the infrastructure registry.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we could publish
so-
it, and anyone else could use it
it's
sort of easily.
it's just you just extract it out of that folder that we've got, create a new project for that,
Yep.
and there's even an include. There's a really easy include fragment that you just have a single line CI, and it will build that, publish it into your registry when you tag it, and then you just change your source here from a local file ref to a HTTP ref for your new project
Sweet.
thing, and it just magically works, and you wouldn't have to change your state because your state is defined by your own module path, not the source of the module that you're pulling in.
Gotcha. So how? I'm just trying to think what that really means. So if the module changes, it'd still identify those changes if you ran like a new pipeline,
Absolutely,
though, right?
yeah. So if you went and just made a change in your module here, so just change that request access enable to true or something, change something, or even change the cosmetic name in the name. So
Yeah.
And just spoon.
I was gonna go for some reason shouty.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
And just do just a new plan. You'll see that there'll be a new change reflecting.
Cool.
But the beauty there is that if you've got multiple instances of your module, so at the actual sort of base level.
Yeah. So if you
called that and you had module triage ops fork, and you make that change in the module, it'll make that change across every project or every instance of that module. You'll need to do an init because you've added a new module, Terraform init.
God. Yeah. So it's based on this as the unique identifier, so to speak.
Yes. So as I mentioned before, when you were using just pure resources, your naming was
resource
type dot resource name. Now you've got module name dot resource type dot resource name, and that's why we named it just something generic like project.
Well, it's not actually the module name though, is it? It's just module.
Yeah, but it's module dot module name dot resource name dot resource resource type dot resource name.
Yeah, that I find slightly confused. Okay. So we would call this like a module type almost, community fork, I suppose. And this is the name that we've given, the alias that we've given it in.
That instance of the module, yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. No, that's awesome.
And that way, if you needed to add any more specific resources to any of the setup pieces, setup steps for a fork, you could just add them inside the module, and then
it would add it to all of them.
Yeah.
I love it.
There is ways of Terraform allows us to even take that one step further. And if you didn't want to have a separate module for each fork, you could then do
A
some
for each
iterations,
or
and
something.
there is a for each construct, which can get a bit hairy. But if, for instance, you needed more than one resource of a certain type for each invocation of your module, then you would do that. But that's
Yes.
a bit more advanced
No,
Terraform.
I think this is awesome, educational for all of us. You've seen that we've pretty much got what we need. I've seen a nice way of optimizing, if that's the right way, drying up. Let's use drying up. And Marco, what was your knowledge of Terraform beforehand?
Marcus, just oh, there he is.
Oh, he's
Still there.
disappeared.
None. I
None.
didn't. Never used Terraform before.
So yeah, so learned something new today
Oh,
for sure. And I'll
absolutely. I will definitely use that project as a reference.
yeah, and I'll quite likely watch back this part of this video to remind myself of some of the stuff.
Yeah, if either of you do have questions along the way, hit me up. I've used this a little bit more. I'm still not quite at the level of Timo or any of the team that are actively working on our Terraform provider. But
Well, I think
yeah,
we'll
can
ask
get
them
there.
to review it, right? Once we've got something we're pretty happy with, then we'll get the experts in to
Absolutely.
see.
Give us some pointers on best practices.
But that's
Yeah,
exactly. I suspect a lot of it will be kind of personal preference, but definitely there'll be a few kind of hints and tips. So awesome.
Yeah, to be honest, I when I tried to have a look at Terraform, I was searching for a project that had something, for example, to use as a reference, but didn't really come up with either way. They were too easy or too complex.
Yes.
So this is a
I found I couldn't construct the keywords in my head for a good search, because if you search for things like GitLab and Terraform, obviously you just get millions of results. So it's I guarantee that some of this we probably could have, or I could have cheated. I think what we did today was really, really good and really interesting, and sort of maybe not cheatable,
Baby
but the
steps.
bit that but some of this stuff that I did, I know this is kind of Terraform 101, right? But that there might have been an easier way for me to have copy and pasted this from somewhere and got started. But I honestly didn't take too much time, so I'm happy.
I think that's the best way to start. You trying to take a bigger piece of Terraform to get started with. Like you say, it's either too simple or too complicated, because there's just so many switches and so many
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of learning along the way as well. I think sometimes it's good to sort of make some mistakes and figure out, like we did there with understanding how the identifiers are constructed, by not just being like, here, I'm telling you this is how they can, but it being run the plan command, and it kind of explains it to you, so to speak.
So having it at this stage now, where you just need a 2-3 line module
Yep.
call to create a new fork, you could potentially go and do something else, like write a script that gets called by CI, that takes a couple of inputs and has a name of the project that you're trying to fork, stuff, and it generates that bit, creates an MR for you, and all you need to do is then go and look at that MR and
It's funny you should
approve
say
that MR to create a new fork.
Because one of the ideas originally was to sort of use CI to create the projects. So we could have just written a load of API calls, whether we used Ruby or Bash or whatever, to create these community forks. But obviously, like the use of Terraform, I think it's going to be beneficial in a way, but it was almost me trying to tick a box, being like, we want to start working with the Terraform or the Create team, I suppose. We want to collaborate a bit, and this was the perfect opportunity to use the Terraform provider.
Using the Terraform also gives you the additional benefit of being able to every time you run that Terraform against that piece of infrastructure, you're not just creating your new or making the changes that you're intending to change. You have the added benefit of double checking that everything that is there already is still the way that your code believes it should be.
But it doesn't. Can you just repeat it? Because just
So,
repeat what you said again. Sorry.
case in point is the visibility you have on that project. So you went and made a change via the front end and changed the visibility of that project.
No, it doesn't do that, does it? We're only comparing the Terraform files to the state. The change I made was actually in the Terraform file. I just hadn't got as far as running plan or so.
Okay.
That's a completely different kettle of fish that I really would like to. That's where I'm not showing my screen anymore, but I scribbled a note about maybe trying to create some kind of scheduled CI job to kind of detect drift. So I'd be really interested to see what what you can do to try and check the state against the actual infrastructure.
Yeah. So I mean that becomes a matter of policy and how you approach things. But yes,
I mean, ideally, I guess if you can make permissions to prevent anyone being able to change it directly, that's a good, a nice way to try and prevent it. But optimistic at best, I guess. Especially if someone's an owner, then they've got the permission to make all these changes, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if you have a nightly job that goes and runs and just applies your Terraform nightly, you'll very quickly stop people making drift. If every time they make drift, it goes and gets overwritten by an apply.
But that wouldn't work either, would it? Because apply relies on the state knowing that it's in a certain state, and the state wouldn't know.
So the state knows what it is up to the last apply.
Yes.
Okay, so drift is where your state differs from the actual.
Yes.
Okay, if someone's making changes on the actual, then your state will differ from the actual. Right. If you're making changes in your code and you're not taking those through to apply, then
Terraform doesn't know about the actual, though. Terraform doesn't know about the actual.
It does at plan and apply points. When you do a plan, it's comparing the state to the actual.
It's not. It's comparing the TF files to the state. I'm almost sure of that.
No, a plan looks at. A plan also does API checks.
I'm going to try it quickly because I was fairly confident that it was.
So it'd
be awesome if it does.
Yeah, if you share quickly again, and you go to your group.
I'm going to change that project from public to private, and the other way around, and see what happens.
Or change the.
No, I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm going to do the. I suppose I could do two, couldn't I? But so this is Communicoders. Yes, I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to fix I've forgotten what it was now. It's a visibility, wasn't it? So I'm going to fix that. I can't because this group must be. Okay, so that'll be two changes that I'll be making. So that's good. That's good. So we'll make that public. And then I really hope you're right, because that will make life a bit easier. Public.
Don't worry, I pride myself in being right. So
I don't think you claim to be a Terraform expert, so don't.
No, but I have done that. I have Terraformed GitLab.
So I need to. Probably a good idea to remove this.
Yes. And the only thing that's now there to change is the shoutiness.
So it's interesting that it didn't detect the group change.
Because the group change you hadn't actually changed in here. So the group change,
It should have known though, shouldn't it, that the
the
state.
group,
Let me just try changing one more thing. Okay, so so that's already got a diff on there, so there's no point in me changing that. The description I can do. Cool.
no, change the
Oh yeah,
project.
yeah. Because it should then say from that to that, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, just say, yeah, there we go.
Lee doesn't believe you.
We'll convert it.
Awesome.
So a plan looks at the existing infrastructure compared to what Terraform believes should be there.
So it doesn't care
computes
about the
difference.
state, or does the state come into it?
It cares about the state in that if because it already has a state for that item, it's not creating a new one, it's just doing a change. If there was no state for that item, or then it would be either destroying that item or recreating that or creating a new item.
That's not quite what I'm. So we could end up in a scenario. I'm just trying to understand what it means, or if it really. I think it doesn't really care or doesn't matter. But we could end up in a
plan
scenario.
is a three-way compare. A plan is a three-way compare between your TF files, your state, and the actual.
So what would happen? So in this scenario,
the state
change.
The state is a model of the last time you did an apply of the actual. Okay.
Okay, so that's interesting. Oh, so it's actually refreshed the state.
Yes.
Right. So that's why the state kind of doesn't matter or doesn't care, because actually part of the plan is to update the state.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
Well, part of the plan doesn't update the state. It checks the current. It checks the current. Apply is the only thing that can change the state. All apply does is changes the state.
Right. So even that saying it's refreshing the state.
So,
what do you think that means?
So maybe Timo might be able to explain this a little bit more eloquently than I can, but your state is your actual, or sorry, you've got your actual configuration, and you've got your state, which is what Terraform believes is the actual configuration. So when you do an apply, it computes what the actual should be. Okay. It compares what the actual should be against what it believes the actual is. And then it looks to differ from what the actual is to that, and then it will make those changes, and then it'll pull that into the state and it'll save that. The next time you're doing a plan, it checks the plan against the actual, checks the current against the actual, as well as what you need to do to make the current the actual.
Yeah. So this one.
There's definitely a three-way compare there.
But do you think if I'm not really interested in doing it, I don't think, but if I was to push this, so where I've made a change in here that I've also made to the actual, but this change doesn't exist in the state at the moment, do you think if I was to push this, merge this, and do a Terraform apply or whatever it is, would it change the state or not?
This change doesn't exist in the state at the moment, but this change
correct, exactly,
exists in the TF file.
Yes, so, and in the actual as well.
And in the actual.
Yes.
So then it won't actually change the state.
Cool. Yeah. Because it's only really comparing the actual.
So this would align the state with the actual, rather than actually make a change to the state itself.
No, I thought you were saying it wouldn't update this. The state would just remain the same. And what's
If you were
currently
to
in the
push
state?
this,
Yeah.
if you were to push this and go through to an apply,
Yeah.
it would update the state, because currently if you do a plan, it's saying that, oh no, wait, if you do a plan, it's saying no changes.
Exactly.
So then it won't.
Correct.
Won't.
Cool. Awesome. No, that makes sense. It's it's a bit weird, but it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The important thing, like you said, is it's comparing the actual, or at least to me, that's what's important.
And because there is that three-way sort of sync up, that's how you can do a nightly push where it will nightly go
Okay.
and just reapply, and whatever it says in the TF files will be pushed to actual, and any manual changes that have been made will be overwritten by Terraform.
Yeah. So the state still says this, but it kind of doesn't care because the TF file matches the actual. Cool. Awesome. No, that's
So what it would do in this case, it wouldn't actually make a API call to change the actual. It'll just update the state file in this case. So there's
yeah, I don't think we can make our minds up here. I thought you were saying you didn't think it'd update the state.
so it won't update the actual state. It won't update the actual. Sorry, it's confusing because of terminology here.
Yes.
It'll update the state file, but it won't update the actual infrastructure's state.
So you think that's if I was to do an apply? Is that what you think would update?
If you do an apply, the state file will change.
There you go. Now we know the inner workings of Terraform.
But if you had some sort of trace there wouldn't have been an API call to set anything in the infrastructure.
Yes, because of the fact that it said nothing added, nothing changed, nothing destroyed. Awesome. Yeah. No, that's I think that's really helpful. Again, like my inquisitive mind needs to know what's happening under the hood, and it is important. Like we say, if we want to run a nightly job to detect drift, if it was only comparing the state file to the Terraform files, then that would be no good.
Yeah.
But if it's comparing the actual...
The only thing that a nightly change looking for drift wouldn't pick up is any new things that should be resources. So if you were to add a new group or a new project that Terraform isn't tracking, it actually wouldn't have any visibility of those.
Good point. Yeah, it's quite specific what you're querying, isn't it?
One thing that's kind of a little bit of a gray area.
Yeah.
So it will detect drifts against changes to the existing infrastructure, but new groups and resources it's not so good at picking up. It may have a way of doing that, but I don't think so.
No, yeah, I know what you mean, because for example, where we define the users that are allowed to push to master, and if we added a user, I don't think it would pick up on that. But anyway, we run over. Awesome session. Appreciate your guidance, Raymond, and hope it's been educational, Marco.
Oh, no worries.
Any questions? I'll probably make some more changes in the next couple of days to kind of try and get it to a point where I feel that we can maybe move it to the GitLab community group.
Great.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. Take it easy. See you later.